Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today for this very interesting moment that is the Ariane 6 event. I'm Ursula Nyaku. I'm working in CNES in the innovation of the space transportation field. And I'm very glad to be here with a prestigious group of panelists that will tell you about everything about Ariane 6. They represent the four entities that make Ariane 6 possible. François, I leave you the floor.
So, good morning to all of you, even if it's late in the morning. So I am François Barrault, I am in Ariane Space. I'm heading the Ariane activities, I'm in exploitation activities and customer relation. So I am preparing all the Ariane 5 and Ariane 6 missions. So I will provide you with some insight on the situation with Ariane 6 exploitation.
So I am Tony Tolger Nielsen, and I am responsible for the Ariane 6 program since almost 3 months on the ESA side.
Good morning, I'm François Deneux. I'm the program manager of Ariane 6 for Ariane Group, so mainly in charge of developing the launcher system.
Good morning, Olivier Bunier from CNES. So I'm head of Ariane 6 program in CNES and also development director for Ariane and Vega activity in CNES.
So thank you very much. Ariane 5 is preparing its last flight. So all eyes on its successor, Ariane 6, Olivier. Can you tell us more about the preparation of the new launch system?
Yes, so on the launch base side, you can see that on these real pictures that the launch base is ready. We have qualified the launch base soon. With the last steps for this qualification was the software and control bench qualification. The control bench is the computer that put in movement all the system of the launch base, but also of the launcher during the chronology. So the launch base is qualified, and as you can see, the launcher combined test model is now on the launch pad, is connected to the ground. In May, we connected the launcher with the electrical devices and also with the fluidic devices. So now, as you can see on the right pictures, all is connected, and the launcher is ready for its first filling, loading, and unloading that will come very soon, and we will speak about it just later. I leave the floor to François to explain you the status on the launcher side.
So also to illustrate that Ariane 6 is for real, you have pictures of the specimen that we are integrating in our factories in Germany and in France for the maiden flight. First, I would like to come back on the test we have performed in Germany, in the German Space Agency Center in Lampolshausen, end of 2022 and beginning of 2023. So we have tested the upper stage twice in this center. And this was a very important milestone passed by the program, because you know that on Ariane 6, a very important innovation has been put on this upper stage. But you can see also a picture of the lower main stage under integration in our factory in Les Mureaux in France. We are now in the final stage of the integration of every element, and we are moving now to what we call the final assembly line, when we will put all of this together and deliver a module to Kourou. In Kourou also, we are integrating the solid rocket booster, and you have here a picture of the integration of the nozzle of the booster. So as you can see, Ariane 6 is preparing very actively the maiden flight. Next, please. And what is important is not just to deliver hardware, but also to qualify this hardware to be sure that we will fly properly at the maiden flight. So the qualification is a very important moment. We have passed also on our functional test facility in Les Mureaux the complete set of qualification for the combined test in Kourou. Now the facility is in the configuration of the maiden flight, because in the qualification everything is with the details, so you need to have exactly the configuration of the flight when it concerns software, hardware, control bench, everything should be very representative to the flight. So the facility is now moving in this configuration, and we have started the qualification of the avionics in our facility. So this is the transition from the combined test to the qualification of the launcher for the maiden flight. And I hand over to Tony for the rest of what is in front of us.
Thank you, Francois. So we are presently doing the ground combined test sequence, where we have a specimen for the launcher, where the lower propulsion module and the upper propulsion module are like flight models. The solid rocket boosters are not, but apart from that, it is really a flight model of the launcher, which we have installed on the launch pad. And we have done all the electrical connections, the fluid connections. We have simulated electrically a full synchronized sequence up to launch, so without the fluids, and so the control bench computer speaks well and understands the computer on board Ariane's on the launch vehicle. So all this is tested. Now is coming we are going to fill the launcher, so with the cryogenic fluids, and then do a full sequence going right to launch, and we are actually going to ignite the engine as well. In a first step, a short test, hot firing test, and we will do a second one in the end of August with a long firing test. So all this is going very well, but of course filling the launcher with cryogenic fluids and do the whole thing to launch is a quite critical test that we'll be doing. In parallel to that, we have the launch system qualification review. So that integrates the launch base qualification review that has already been done. We have not done the launcher system review through the qualification of the launch. We have decided to do, because we are pressed for time, as you all know very well, we have decided to do this review as a smart project qualification review, where we integrate the justification file for the qualification of the launch vehicle, and we take the launch-based qualification, and then we do the whole system qualification in one review, and that's being kicked off right now. So I think I've covered everything on this slide now, together with Francois.
And we will have to complement the test in Lampol 1000. As I said before, twice we have tested the complete system, but now we have to test jointly the main propulsion system of the upper stage with a secondary propulsion system. So for the first time, we will have the two propulsion systems working together using the same propellant management system, the same tanks with hydrogen and oxygen. So as I said before, this is a great innovation on Ariane 6. And this is what makes the launcher much more flexible, much more performant into orbit, not only for the constellations, but for all the missions, including the institutional mission. So that's the reason why Ariane 6 is not only the successor of Ariane 5. This is also a launcher that has a completely different capability. And we have anticipated in a way, the market evolution in space. So when we say all missions, all orbits, this is not just for the communication, this is for real, thanks to this upper module. So in July, we intend to have this test in Germany once again, and this will be once again also a very important milestones for Ariane 6.
Maybe we can talk about the maiden flight. François, can you tell us more about this first mission for Ariane 6?
So, first of all, this maiden flight, I have to give the honor to ESA and Ariane Group to make it, because it's a mission which is related to the development. But of course, we are working very closely with Ariane Group and ESA to prepare this mission with a main objective it is to qualify as much as possible all the phases of the Ariane 6 configuration, meaning of course the lower stage, but also the upper stage, the reignition capability of the VINCI engine in the upper stage, and all the additional capabilities which are provided by the APU, which is a third engine which is inside the third stage, the upper stage, and which is enabling a lot of mission profile, especially for constellation, but also during long ballistic phases. And to separate various of CubeSats, as you can see on that scheme. There are approximately 15 payloads, 15 CubeSats, which are a part of the maiden flight. And once this separation will be completed, we will go on for, as I said, a demonstration flight to reignite the VINCI and to use the APU capability. Of course, the objective is to demonstrate that we are able to go to LEO, to GEO, or to direct GEO using this reignition capability and the APU. The ESCAPE, is an extended GTO mission, I should say. We also need to demonstrate the capability to MEO. MEO, it's a very important objective because it is the orbit which is necessary to deliver the Galileo satellite for the European navigation constellation. And SSO, which is also a very, very interesting orbit for Ariane 62 to deliver Earth observation satellites, mainly for the polar system of EUMETSAT, but also for various Ministry of Defense in Europe.
So you told us that Ariane 6 will do a lot of more mission that Ariane 5. Can you tell us more about the differences between Ariane 5 and Ariane 6 and why Ariane 6 can do so much mission than Ariane 5?
So Ariane 6 incorporates, I should say, three main features comparatively to Ariane 5. The first one is something which can be seen from the outside. We have an Ariane 62 configuration with 2 boosters, and we have an Ariane 64 configuration with 4 boosters. So depending on the mission profile and the requested capability in terms of performance, we can use one or the other configuration. That's the first one, which is visible from the outside. The second one, which is embedded in the upper stage, is the capability to reignite the VINCI engine, providing capability to reach circular orbit in low Earth orbit or in MEO, or also to go to direct GEO under certain, of course, consideration for the mass to be delivered on that orbit. And also something which is not visible from the outside is what we call the APU, the Auxiliary Power Unit, which is a small engine which is capable of providing pressurization of the upper stage tanks to cope with the conditions of the ballistic phases, but also to generate a small thrust, enabling the capability to deliver a lot of satellites, for instance, for constellation purposes, along a separation path.
Thank you, François. François, can you tell us more about the performance of Ariane 6?
No, I wanted to add something about the production system, because what makes also a big difference between Ariane 5 and Ariane 6, and it was a very important innovation in the program, is the production system. Before we saw pictures of the specimen for the maiden flight. It was not just pictures of the hardware, it was also pictures about the factories. And from the very beginning on Ariane 6, we have developed this capability. And from the very beginning, we produce and we deliver the hardware of Ariane 6 with the factories developed before. And so when we talk about the maiden flight, this is not just the maiden flight that we have in mind. This is also the ramp-up and the capability to deliver and to serve our customers as soon as possible. So I think it was also important because we provide twice the cadence and much more flexibility in our capability to launch different configurations.
Can you recall us where are these new generation factories?
In Germany for the upper stage, in France for the main stage, in Colleferro in Italy for a part of the booster, for the structure, in close to Bordeaux for the manufacturing of the nozzle of the solid rocket booster, in Germany and in France, in Vernon, for the engines, and after in Kourou, of course, because at the end the factories, the final integration is in Kourou, and the production system for the solid rocket booster, it's also in Kourou. And we have many other factories in Europe. You know that there are 13 countries that are contributing to Ariane 6, so hundreds of industrialists that make this work. So everywhere in Europe we have factories delivering parts. For instance, the composite structure in Spain, actuators in Belgium, metallic structure in Germany. So it's a complete puzzle that we have in Europe before delivering the module to Kourou for the launch.
Thank you, François. That explained very much why we talk about the Europe Space Team. So, François, can you tell the...
Yes, so assuming a successful maiden flight, of course, even if it's not yet demonstrated, Ariane 6 is a success and is a successful launch vehicle, because as you can see on that slide, I will mainly focus on Ariane 6, of course. We have already in contract 28 launches, including 10 non-GEO and GTO launches, meaning Galileo, Sun synchronous orbits, but also GTO, and also, of course, 18 launches for the mega constellation of Amazon. So we have to deliver, and I thank François to recall that as part of the development of Ariane 6, the production process and the production tool is totally focused to increase the cadence for the production of the launch vehicle. And I also thank NES for the efforts that are done in French Guiana to also increase the launch rate from the Senge launch vehicle or between two different launch vehicles. And assuming a rapid ramp-up, we expect to be able to launch very quickly up to 9 or 10 Ariane 6 per year. So we expect to reach that cadence by 26, 27 at the latest. So our order book for the moment is quite full until the end of 2027. There are still some opportunities, but very few. So it's a part of the general crisis for for the capability of the launch system to deliver payload into orbits for all the customers that are pointing out, and especially for the constellation market.
So now I would like to address a new subject that is a great concern for all the humanity. Can you tell us what did you do for the sustainability on Ariane 6? And maybe I will begin with...
Okay, just before I give the floor to Olivier, if you allow me, it is it's really a concern of all of our customers now to include this the demonstration of our best effort to reach a sustainability, an acceptable sustainability level for Ariane 6, both in production or in launch. I know that your DG, Joseph, was challenged Monday evening by Edwige Chevrillon on BFM on that topic. Okay. First of all, I think we need to say that Ariane 6 is a hydrogen and oxygen launch vehicle fully. So it's something which, speaking a part of the booster, which is quite sustainable. And then I will give the floor to Olivier to provide you with additional information on the various parts of the launch system and of the launch production.
Yes, on the launch pad, so the ELF4, from the beginning, we had the aim to limit at the maximum the environmental impact. The building of this launch pad has been made limiting the carbon footprint, taking materials exactly from where a launch pad is built, and preserving also local natural resources, taking water from existing natural sources and so on. The location was also chosen to avoid some areas where there was protected vegetal spaces. This was during the building of the launch pad, but it was also built in the sense to limit the energetic consumption, limit the air conditioning, limit the impact, the electricity impact, and so on, during all the exploitation phase. And there is also a dedicated facility that was built in order to retreat directly on the site the wasted water after a launch, so that we limit the consumption and we limit also the impact on the environment. So this was on the launch pad. There are also, of course, major measures that was taken on the Ariane 6 launcher production, and François will explain that.
So I would like to illustrate this with a canopy, with a ship that will transport the modules from continental Europe to Kourou, directly to Kourou. And I'm very pleased to tell about Canopy, not only because this is a beautiful ship, but because also it's a very beautiful story on Ariane 6. Initially, we just wanted to improve the logistics and the transportation on Ariane 6 and to make it more flexible, more performant, and especially vis-à-vis the cadence, and of course cheaper. That was I would say, the requirements. And during the process of selection, we had a proposal from a startup with an armateur proposing something totally new, which was not expected by us, a ship with wings. And so we were a bit surprised. I can tell you that it took time for us to think about it and to realize that it was something very interesting for Ariane 6. And so at the end, we selected this concept with some fear about their capability to deliver. And at the end, not only they have delivered a beautiful ship, but on time, even more in advance vis-à-vis the need. And now we have this ship that represents also the innovation on Ariane 6. And the company, the startup now is enlarging its market, and they are developing everywhere this kind of ship with wings. And I'm sure they will have a huge success in the coming years. So in 2 years, 3 years from now, you will see a lot of this of such a concept, big cargo with wings. And you can think about Ariane 6, thinking that this is the result of the space innovation, which was not for granted at the beginning. So this is a very good illustration how space also brings innovation to the society.
Just, François, can you also tell us about the new Ariane Group building plant and the impact on the environment?
So in our factory?
Yes.
Yeah, in all our factories, we have been very careful about the capability to produce with less energy, with less drawbacks vis-à-vis the environment. A few examples, we have changed the way to clean the tanks. Before it was with chemical product, and now we clean our tank with water. So it seems very obvious, but in fact it is not. It's very difficult to implement this and to make it work, because we need a perfect result. So yes, it took us some time to develop this, but now we have it, and it's a contribution to have lower impact vis-à-vis the environment. The second part was about the energy, how to have a factory consuming less energy. And for instance, on Ariane 6, there is a big change, which is we integrate the launcher horizontally for many reasons. And of course, one of the reasons is the integration efficiency. But by doing that, we have largely reduced the size of our building, and that means that we need less energy for the same activities. And in Les Mureaux, we have a green power plant for providing energy to the factory. So all of this, in addition to what was presented by Olivier in Kourou, makes Ariane 6 less consuming in terms of energy and with much more care about environment.
François, can you tell us more about the commitment of Ariane Espace on the sustainability thematic?
Yes, so very quickly, because it's something which is already in place for Ariane 5. In fact, we are operating under the French Space Operation Act, FSOA, which has been promoted by the ministry, the French ministry, and enforced by CNES. Enforced is applied by CNES, because enforced is a little bit strong. So all the missions are built to protect as much as possible the specific zone of the outer space. Of course, we also signed the Net Zero Space Charter to reduce all in-orbit debris by 2030, and we are also allied with ESA to support a responsible space sector. So as you can see, all the various levels of the chain, from the ground, from the production, from the ground launch pad, and also for the mission preparation, are challenged to meet as much as possible sustainability requirements.
Thank you, François. Let's talk about the future.
Yes, so Ariane 6 is a success, as I mentioned, commercially, but to be even more competitive with our customers, I'm referring first to the large constellation customers that are knocking at the door and which are already in our order book. We decided under the proposal of Ariane Group and with the support of ESA to improve the performance of the Ariane 6 by improving the upper stage, by throttling a little bit to the high the thrust of the Vinci, and also to increase the capacity to load the solid rockets from P120 to P160C configuration. The figures is a little bit confusing, but it represents approximately 14 ton additional propellant per booster. And by doing so, we can, of course, increase the mass performance by 20% on the LEO market and by 10% on the GTO market, which is quite interesting to increase the number of satellites, especially for the LEO constellation under the same fairing. And of course, this upgrade, as all the modification of the P120C are also fully applied to the Vega launch vehicle, the small Vega, and the Vega C, and using the P120C and the Vega C will also increase its capability to 2.3 ton in SSO. That's on track with the objective to use this configuration in flight in 2025.
Thank you, François. Tony, it's the end of the sequence. What would you like us to retain about Ariane 6? What is a strong message for Ariane 6?
I think we can say that Ariane 6 is already a commercial success. We have 28 launch service contracts signed. We have a clear roadmap to the maiden flight, as you have seen. And we shall ensure a very fast ramp up. And as François explained, industrialization has already been taken into account in the conception of Ariane 6, which will enable us to do this fast ramp up. And by the way, it also has made it possible to reduce cost of 40% with respect to Ariane 5. The target was 50, and we shall be working on that target in the future. So, but as it stands today, we are at 40%, which is not so bad. So, and on top of all this, we have done everything to do this launcher green, which is also a very good point for Ariane 6. So with this, I think are the main points of this presentation.
Thank you very much for this sequence. I think that we can congratulate our panelists. Is there any questions?
Three quick ones. First, could you go back to slide 6? And maybe Ariane Espace can tell us, this is the slide that shows the global customers for Ariane 6. And there's one in dark black, all the letters all munched together in the Western United States. I couldn't figure out who it is. So maybe while you're getting slide 6, back up. Second question is, the Ariane 6 team, sometime in May, decided to add another hot firing test, another firing test in Lampoldshausen of the upper stage. In April, that wasn't planned. You had planned for the last one in July. Now you have July plus sometime in the autumn. What did you observe sometime in April or May that caused you to add that second test firing? You don't just do it for the pleasure of it. And the second question, oh, sorry, maybe you could ask, that's that odd thing, I don't know who that is in late 2027, Ariane Espace might be available to start taking new launch orders for Ariane 6, or start launching Ariane 6 for customers who have not yet signed up. Okay. In late 27, the European Commission wants to start launching its IRIS-2 constellation. It'll be on lots of launchers maybe, but including Ariane 6. By late 2027, I'm not sure you'll have the entire Amazon order completed. What do you do if there's a conflict between a commercial customer and a government customer? You know that SpaceX gives way to a government customer because that's the way they do it in California. How do you do it here?
Yes, it's a good question, and we have several answers. First of all, as I mentioned, there are still some opportunities which are in our order book. Few, of course, but there are still. Then it's an arbitration that is still to be made by Arianespace, depending on the exact requirement of for the launch, the early launch dates of the IRI² configuration, but we don't expect them before 27, I think. And then Amazon, okay, Amazon, it's a good question as well. We have a contract, we have capability to accommodate the launch manifest, and it's a matter of discussion with our customer, of course, meaning that for Amazon, I think their target is to have a very steep ramp up to reach the maximum satellite in orbit by 2026. So it is, I think there is room for discussion on that as well. And then we are also contemplating a cadence increase program, which could improve the performance, the capability from 9 to 11 or 12 launches a year, which also provides additional capability for late 28, late 27, mid 28, which is a program we are still working on. It's a capability to increase the manufacturing tool. It's nothing more, because for the launch base, as I said, we can sustain 2 Ariane 6 in a month, not all the months, of course, but we could increase the launch rate to 10 to 11, and on some specific months to have 2 Ariane 6 launches back to back.
Okay, so there'll never be a conflict between a commercial and a government.
I don't hear you, Peter.
There will never be a conflict between a commercial and a government customer. That cannot happen.
We had that in the past. We managed it, and we will manage it as well in the future.
Okay. And on the Lampenzeisen second firing test in degraded conditions, why did you add that?
So maybe, thank you for the question. Maybe there was a misunderstanding because it was in the plan from the very beginning. Yes, I can tell you. And so maybe the misunderstanding comes from the first test, because initially we should have only one test, and we had to make 2 tests with the Vinci and the APU to have it working on the same sequence but separately. So it was what we call HFT2, but this was the first. And in July, we have the test when we test jointly APU and the Vinci, which was in the seconds. And after, we have a test for the degraded cases, which was in the plan, and which is dedicated to the generic qualification. So we don't need it for the qualification file of the maiden flight, but we will have it for the exploitation. So it comes after, but this is quite normal in a qualification to have this degraded cases test, so that we can be sure of the margins we have between nominal and I would say the capability of the system. So it's after, but it was on Interplan.
I don't see it, but be careful. No, there are both Vega and Ariane 6 customers on that slide, not only Ariane 6. So it could be a CubeSat from, hand drone.
Thank you. We just have one question more.
Okay, so I'll be short. How far is Ariane 6 FM2 behind Ariane 6 FM1 in the production line? How far can you deliver it once the first flight is qualified and a success, of course?
So the FM2 material hardware is already in our factories. We have the big pieces, we have the engines, we have the fairing. We will have very soon the avionics. You know that the lead time for the avionics is a bit different. And we have started the integration of FM2 in our factory, especially in Bremen in Germany and in Les Mureaux in France. And the idea is to have the FM2 specimen ready in the factory at the time that we will fly FM1. so that we can check that everything is okay, and to deliver the module so that we can have it in the same year as Ariane 6 maiden flight. So it's a question of months just after. But in our factory, if you come to Les Mureaux, for instance, you will see a lot of hardware for the second flight launcher.
So thank you very much for this interesting moment.